Well, howdy folks, welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to be working on something for a friend of work. He's having an issue with his minivan. I think I don't remember the year, but this part belongs to a 2004 to 2010 Toyota Sienna. So it's a all-wheel drive minivan. So what he's having problems with is it's a rear axle bearing retainer, which is this part right here. And what happened is something's up with the car, whatever, I don't know. I'm just doing what he asked, but what we're doing is this adjusts the caster and the camber on the rear wheels. So what you do is you buy shims and you can adjust it either this way or this way or this way to get whatever tolerance or whatever angle you need to get it into adjustment. So the problem he's having is he can't get any more adjustment by doing this. So what he's asking us to do is to take this and shave this at two different angles. I'm not sure the angles, we'd have to look at the work or look at the drawings here just to be sure, but this is what we're working on. So let me bring you in a little closer and I'll show you the drawings and stuff, and we'll go from there. All right, so again, here's the part that we're going to be working with, and here is the part number of what we're actually working with, and that's it there. It's 42405-45010. And you can see that this is a Toyota genuine part. So with that said, so here's the part itself, and here's what he's asking us to do. So if you lay this part here just like that, if you would flip it up like that, that's what this resembles here, and the same thing with this resembles here. So on this drawing here, what he's asking is we take 100 thousandths off of this surface and 36 thousandths off of this surface, so and then it'll be a little bit here, but that's what he's asking us to do. So it's going to be kind of interesting how to get this all chucked up and do it. So that's the first angle and first cut here. So the second angle is, it's basically the same type of thing. So what he's asking is 80 thousandths off of this surface now, and what is it, 36 thousandths off of this surface. So it's going to be kind of tricky to get this all set up in the lathe. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I did think about doing it in mill, kind of changed my mind on that. And this lip in here is going to get awful thin because I don't think that's much more than 125 thousandths. I didn't measure it yet. But with that said, guys, let's go over to the lathe. Like I said, I think I'm going to do it in the lathe. It'll be easier for me to chuck up, plus indicate it in. I could do it in the mill. I just think the lathe would be easier. So with that said, guys, let's go over to the lathe and get this set up. All right, so we're over here at the lathe. So here's my plan. I got some soft jaws in here. They're kind of just stuck there, but my plan is to do basically set the jaws up on its X and Y. And you can see that looks pretty good that way, and then it looks pretty good the other direction. So what we'll do is we'll slowly snug this up, that way we kind of bring it in even. And then the first thing we're going to do, because I can already tell it's not straight or parallel in there, is we're going to put a dial indicator on the face, and hopefully I don't have it running out too far that I can't do this yet. Actually, it looks pretty good. So there's a high, there's a low. So on this surface here, that's pretty good. So looks like we still got a little bit of a high. Not terrible, but okay. So that surface is in pretty close, and what I can do is I can turn the dial indicator a little bit so you can see it, and we'll take and bring it close to zero here. And you can see I might be a thou out at the most. All right, so that, I feel it's good enough for now. So next thing we're going to do is make sure it's centered. All right. Okay. Looks like we need to tighten this up. This one. I'm trying not to tighten this guy too much because there's not a whole lot to bite on there. All right, so we want to double check the face here and make sure it didn't go out on us. And I don't know how well you guys can see that, but so we'll adjust that to 0. It's close enough. But you can see this face is still in. So now what we need to do is this surface needs to be 100 thousandths and this needs to be 36 thousandths. My thought is if we tap in the bottom at 70 thousandths, we should be 100 thousandths on the top and then 36 thousandths on the bottom, if I did my math right. So let's try it. So we're going to take this to right there, 0. And what I'm doing is using my drawers for reference, by the way. So that's 10. All right. And right there is our 64 thousandths. It's actually 63, and it's almost 64, but it's close enough. It's only a hair needle thickness off. So, and then we'll double check this jaw and this jaw and make sure we're square. So we'll eyeball it as best we can. So right now we're at about 32, and right it's at 31. So to me that's good enough. I would leave it alone. So I think we're set up, we're ready to go ahead and do our first cut. All right, so if you're not getting this, it's very confusing. So the way I did the math is, so we want 100 thousandths off this side, 36 thousandths off that side. If you subtract that 2, that gives you your 64 thousandths. Right? So that's your 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and your 4 thousandths. So what I'm saying is if you turn this into 0, I'm sorry, if you would turn this into 36 thousandths, you should hit 100 thousandths up here, which you do. So what I'm saying is the difference is 64 thousandths. So now all we have to do is cut in 100 thousandths. So whenever we hit 64 thousandths when we're cutting in, we should be just scratching the surface. Once we scratch this surface, it should only be another 30 some thousandths. All right, so let's put a bit in and let's start cutting. All right, so what we're going to do here too is, since we know that this surface here is supposed to be 100 thousandths, we're going to bring our cutter in here and just touch, just like that. And then we're going to set our dowel indicator down here to 0. We're going to back him out. Actually, I'll go ahead and just take this guy off. We're going to go in our 100 thousandths, and then we're going to reset this to 0. Just like that. So now we're ready to cut. Let's give it a shot. Just curiosity. Yeah, we're just skimming that surface. All right. I'm going to take light cuts just to make sure. It's cutting like it's cast steel, so it should cut real nice. Yeah, it's definitely cutting like it's cast steel. Okay, so we're going to go 65 thousandths, and then we're going to stop and see if our math was right. And it is, because you can see it barely touched that surface. So that makes sense. Plus here, barely scratched. So our math is correct. So we're, by the time I get to the 30 more 6 thousandths, this side will be cut 100 and this side will be cut to 36. So it looks like it's correct. All right. Okay, it's only 10 more thousandths off. And there we are. All right, well, let's get set up for the next cut, and I'll bring you right back. All right, so the next dimension he wants is he wants 80 thousandths off of this side and 36 thousandths off of this side. This is getting rather thin in here. He said it wouldn't be a problem, so we're going to go for it. So what it is that's 44 thousandths difference now. So we'll try to line this up the center as we can. looks pretty good right there. We'll bring our dial indicator to 0. If I think about this correctly again, if we drop this guy in 40 thousandths or 44 thousandths, this should be the 80 thousandths, right? Make sure I do the right side. So we're sitting like this. So this is the side we're taking the least of, so we need this guy 44 thousandths in. Right there is 30, and it's too far. We're 43 thousandths. Right there's 45. And this side keeps on popping up for some reason. I think what I need to do is tighten up the jaws just a nudge. I'm doing all of them evenly, that way I don't change my other dimension there. I'll probably check it anyway. But anyway, now let's check here. So this guy, we're at 0. We're at 45 thousandths. I think we're going to leave it at 45 just because. Alright, so I thought I'd bring you in here a little bit closer to the dial indicator so you can kind of see what my thinking is. So the difference between the 80 thousandths and the 36 thousandths is 44 thousandths. But anyway, so we got set at 80 thousandths. So there's 80. On the other side, guess what? 36 thousandths. So the difference is 44 thousandths. And then what we also did is we kind of looked on our center points here and make sure that they're on as well, and you can see that they're really close. It's hard to tell exactly. So the other thing I wanted to point out is the previous cut, this cut is on top of the previous cut, so it's not reference to this back surface or anything, it's reference to this newly machined surface. So again, so we're going to be taking 80 thousandths off of this side and 36 thousandths off of this side. So hopefully that makes sense, but the difference is 44 thousandths. So with that said, this thing's all set up ready to cut this last cut, and then after that it's done. So why don't we get everything set up here and let's cut. So I'm going to change up my cutter. I'm going to use this style cutter here instead. It's the same cutter, it's just a different orientation. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're just going to come up and just touch that surface. I do need to make sure that I am going to clear too, which I am. Perfect. And we'll just come in to where, just touch that surface just like that. And then we'll dial in our 80 thousandths. All right, so we're ready to cut. I just wanted to check here to make sure everything's going right. We got our final pass right here. It's our full depth of 80 thousandths. Alright, since we have this bit in here, we are going to chamfer that just a little bit in there. Take off the burr, just like that. And there you go. Well, we actually did touch up here just a nudge. Alright, so let's get this out of the lathe here and see what it looks like. Alright guys, so I went over to the drill press, I chamfered all these holes, and then I took it over and filed everything to make sure all the rough edges and everything were off of it. So you can see that it cut really nice. I mean, I was really impressed on how it cut, and it looks really good. So hopefully this works out for the friend at work that asked me to do this little project. Just to give you an idea, this is cast steel, I'm almost positive, because it has a casting line in it, and it did not cut like cast iron. So it's got to be some sort of cast steel. I'm not sure what grade. I used the CNMG cutter over on the lathe, and you can see it cut it no problem without any issues. What I wanted to show you quick though was these dimensions here. So that's 1.35. I'm sorry, 1.035. This is 1.3 or 078, and this is 1.11. Looks like 116, 117, and this is 1.08. So basically, from this is the low spot, this is the high spot, but it also has a cut this way and a cut this way, just like the drawing showed. It's exactly, I think, what he wanted. So I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Hopefully it works for him. So hopefully I can get some pictures off of him after he gets this installed and show you kind of what it was doing or how it's done. But with that said, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button if you can. And until next time, take care.